This is an online module on nutritional aspect of medication taking produced by Unilab Medical Education and Development, or simply UMED. This is the third online module of Optimum Health Outcomes through Medication Safety Program 4, offered to clinical and community pharmacists. The objectives of this learning video are the following. 1. Explain the important relationship between nutrition, health, and drug therapy. Second, to discuss the nature of various food-drug interactions. Third is to discuss key nutritional factors that may impact on medical conditions. And lastly, identify patient counseling points concerning nutrition and medicines. The first lesson is on the introduction and nutrition for health and well-being. Nutrition plays an important part in human life. It consists of the intake of food in relation to the body's dietary needs. An adequate, balanced diet, when combined with regular physical activity, are considered cornerstone of good health by the World Health Organization. The consequences of poor regard concerning health include reduced immunity, increased susceptibility to disease, impaired physical and mental development, and reduced productivity. The cumulative effects of poor nutrition, which happens over an extended period, are in the form of under and overnutrition. An example is the excessive eating of fats may lead to hypercholesterolemia, and obesity had been a known risk factor for type 2 diabetes mellitus. The deficiencies involving various nutrients are shown on this table. Many interventions by health professionals and public health workers are geared towards the improvement of diet and addressing the needs of specific vulnerable groups like newborn infants, elderly, the sick, breastfeeding and lactating mothers, children, among others. There are country-specific, age-specific, and disease-specific nutritional guidelines that are already developed to ensure the health of populations and groups. You may want to check out 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines developed in the US in this link. To continue, the relationship of nutrition and medication taking has been explored on both ends. The effects of nutrition on drug intake and vice versa, the effects of drug intake on nutrition. In a study by White in 2010, intake of medicines affects the factors that can influence nutritional intake. These factors are food availability, physical capability, appetite, presence of gastrointestinal symptoms, and the perception of food. Drug therapy can negatively affect nutrition, predominantly through side effects. It is found to be affected by presence or absence of food, presence of gastrointestinal diseases, and other aspects of the digestion process. Pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic properties of medicines are influenced by these factors. In fact, one focus area of research is drug-nutrients interactions, in which the effects of food on the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion were explored. As a pharmacist and as a health professional, we should be knowledgeable of the interplay between medicines and food. This is to ensure the achievement of good health and the positive outcomes of drug therapy. That is why the review of medications taken by the patient in relation to food intake can be the focus of patient medication counseling. This is so that the patients are well guided. They need health professional advice from us to properly manage their food intake and the medicines they are concurrently taking. According to Zimmerman and Snow, nutrition is the sum of all processes involved in how organisms obtain nutrients, metabolize them, and use them to support all of life's processes. World Health Organization defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Food affects the three aspects of health, such as physical, mental, and social aspects. Disease, on the other hand, is defined as any abnormal condition that affects the health of an organism and is characterized by specific signs and symptoms. Now let us define nutrients. Nutrients are substances required by our body to perform certain functions. There are 6 groups of essential nutrients required from the diet since they are not synthesized by the body. They can be further subdivided into macronutrients and micronutrients. When we say macronutrients, they are needed in large amounts, while micronutrients follows that they are needed in small amounts. This particular table shows the nutrients, their functions, and the examples. Now, most nutrients can be found in different food groups. All the nutrients can be supplied to the body by a combination of food. It is necessary that individuals carefully choose combination of food to get all the necessary nutrients. Meals should be planned to provide a good balance of all nutrients. The food pyramid was widely used to guide individuals regarding their food choices and their suggested quantities of intake. Let me show you an example of a food pyramid. Now, the apex of the pyramid indicates those foods that should be taken in small quantities. And similarly, as you go toward the base, the suggested quantities of food increase. Water should be at the lowest part of the pyramid, which indicates the largest quantity or volume. We know that water is important, not only in the mentioned functions provided in the table, but also in excreting ions, drug metabolites, and other waste products out of the body through the sweat and the urine. You can also see on the left side of the food pyramid the recommended number of servings. For the chemical compositions of the different nutrients, they are provided in this table. Their chemical nature is responsible for their specific functions in the body. Substances like carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and water are considered macronutrients. Except water, the rest are also called energy-providing nutrients. The energy that they provide is measured in calories, and is essential for the human body to grow, repair, and develop new tissues, conduct nerve impulses, and regulate life processes. Let me start with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are main sources of energy. It provides 4 calories of energy per gram. They form the major part of stored energy in the body, and as food, it exists as sugar, starch, and fiber. The brain needs sugar in the form of glucose. Glucose stored in the liver as glycogen and is only released when our body needs it. Carbohydrates are also important in fat oxidation and can be converted to protein. On the other hand, fats have the highest caloric content. It provides 9 calories of energy per gram of fat. They are useful in the production of steroids and hormones and serves as solvents and substrates for hormones and fat-soluble vitamins. Fats are stored in adipose tissues as you can observe in your extremities. and they can be converted into energy in the absence of other sources of energy. Similar to carbohydrates, proteins are also providing 4 calories of energy per gram. They contain amino acids and are the building blocks of the cell structure, including the cell membranes. They can also be converted into energy, just like fats, especially when fats and carbohydrates are lacking. Now let's go to water. Water makes up a large part of our body weight and is the main component of our body fluids. It is the main solvent and substrate for many of the biochemical processes in the body. It serves as carrier for various nutrients and substances, distributing them to cells and removing waste through the urine. It also regulates body temperature and is responsible for the ionic balance of the blood. It has a role in the body's metabolism and is also required for lubricant and shock absorber. Let us remember, from what we have previously discussed, nutrition plays an important part in human life. It consists of the intake of food in relation to the body's dietary needs. Meals should be planned to provide a good balance of all nutrients. The food pyramid was widely used to guide individuals regarding food choices and their suggested quantities of intake. Intake of medicines affect the factors that can influence nutritional intake. And lastly, the pharmacists like you and me, as a health professional, should be knowledgeable of the interplay between medicines and food to ensure the achievement of good health and the achievement of positive outcomes of drug therapy.